All right, guys, I'm really excited about redoing my all-inclusive photo studio organizer. Um, for those of you that have purchased it and used it, I think you're really going to like the changes that I came up with. So as a photographer myself, there were just a few things the form didn't do for me. It just wasn't as functional as I wanted it to be. And so I have made those changes, and I think you're really going to like the changes that I made. Also, the expense tab. I just did my taxes, and my accountant gave me a couple of tips of some things that he would like to see changed. So I think that'll help you guys a lot as well too. I think you're really gonna really like what I've done here. So this form tracks everything. It's way better than QuickBooks, I think. Super easy. It populates. It's awesome. So first off, you see I've already entered in some kind of like fake information, but so everything's broken down into portrait clients and then wedding clients. That way you can track, what's going on with each different kind of session. And then the other big change that I made is that I broke things down into quarters. So, for example, if Jane Doe contacted you and she wanted a session in February, you would put her into the first quarter list. So, and it's color coded. So you scroll down, you see this is, you have 30 spots for 30 sessions in your first quarter. And then here's second quarter, okay? And then you keep going, third quarter. You can see the color difference. You kind of see where they're at. And then fourth quarter. And each quarter gives you 30 spots for 30 new sessions. And then you track everything by quarters, which is really helpful because sometimes you need to know what your quarterly earnings are. And that's the new big change that this does now. So if somebody contacted you and they wanted a session, say in July, you'd scroll down to your third quarter, because that's where July is, and you'd put their information in here. Okay, and then, you just tab over, type in all their information. So, and then you'll see, here we go, we're already at the populating part. So when you put in their name, it's going to populate on every single one of these tabs. So you only have to put their name in one time, right here, all right? And then as you click over, there they are, Jane Doe, John Smith, Jane Doe, John Smith. You're not typing their names in a million different times. The other awesome thing that I changed was that before, when you would scroll, you would lose this top menu that holds you client's name, address, email, phone, da-da-da-da-da. So as you scroll down and you're like down in like the 30s or you're down in like the 50s and you're like, okay, I'm over here. What information did I need to put in? With the old form, you have to scroll all the way back up. This doesn't do that. These tabs are locked. They follow you, which is great. So no matter where you're at, you know what information you need to put in like what cell. So that's super, super, super fun. And that's the same for all of these. You'll see it follows you, and then the left is locked too, so it will follow you. So their names follow you, right? So as you're over here and you're like, who paid what? You can just see their names right there. You don't have to scroll all the way back over to see. So those were the portrait tabs. And then the wedding tabs do all the exact same things, but tracking your wedding clients, okay? They're all going to look the same, balanced to all the same kind of fields, except for there's a couple of different things under the wedding investment. Some stuff that you do in weddings, like if you're paying a hair and makeup, artist, or you're renting equipment, things like that. You can track that in here if you want to, or you can just leave it blank and put it under your expenses. It's up to you. And then you'll see that it tracks what you're doing and it adds it up for you. So as you just plug in your numbers, it's gonna total it all up over here for you. It's all totaled up. You don't have to do anything. These are populating and they have formulas in them and they're adding up all this stuff over here. So it does it for you. The only thing you have to mess with is that I like to keep the taxes separate, so there's no thinking later. So when you're looking at your order form and you're plugging in, like, they spent this, they spent that, you just plug in your taxes separate right here. So then the expense sheet. So this is what's totally different. So before it was kind of listed as like marketing, website, subscriptions, and then you just put in like the total amount you spent that month. So just say you put in like $150 for props, but there was nothing to break down what kind of props, who did you pay the money to, when did you pay it, how much went to each individual business. So I've totally changed it. So again, we're broken up into quarters. There's first quarter expenses, second quarter expenses, third and fourth. So anything January through March you would put in these fields. So just say, you had photo biz, your website, $25, and then you can actually put the details of what it was. What was photo biz? It was for your website, your website payment. And then you track what the expense was over here. So this is fun. There's a drop down. So you're going to click the drop down, and you actually will scroll, and these are all the same things that are in QuickBooks. Website cost, and it codes it for you. Okay, so just say you're a newborn photographer and you bought something from So Whimsy. You can put the details of what did you buy from So Whimsy. Oh, I bought headbands, or maybe you bought a romper. So you know exactly what it is that you bought, the amount, the date you purchased it, and then you'd code it. So for me, I've always put that under Office, and it's in here. I just scrolled past it. Office, computer, and supplies under $200. So for me, that's an office supply. My props to me are supplies that I need for my work, for my office, for my studio space. So that's usually how I code it. I don't know if your accountant would maybe tell you something different, but that's how mine accepts it, as that. And then right here, here's your quarterly portrait revenue. So this is not taking into account your expenses. This is literally just taking into account what your client paid you, what you paid for cost of goods sold, what you made on that session, calculating those two things together. So it's telling you that your first quarter you've made $1,350. You need to pay $95 in taxes. All right. Same thing for the weddings tab. It's telling you that your clients paid you $7,300. You paid $600 for the cost of the goods, and then this was your revenue after you paid for their cost of goods. This is the taxes you owe. Okay, this final tab tells you everything. Okay, it calculates your portrait, your wedding, your expenses, all of it. So this first quarter client investment, it's telling you, it's calculating your portrait sessions and your wedding sessions. And then this is your cost of goods sold for portrait and wedding. And then this is your first quarter, or no, sorry, this was your expenses, excluding cost of goods sold. So it's telling you what you spent in your expenses in your first quarter. So your rent, your, anything travel, website fees, things like that, utilities. And then this is your cost of goods sold, what you paid for product, and this is what you made first quarter, okay? And this one over here tells you the entire year. So if you had stuff in all 4 of these, then it would tell you all of this over here. So just say there was like, it would calculate all 4 of these quarters. As the quarters fill up, it's going to tell you what your annual is. And it's super awesome. So it breaks it all down so you see everything. And it's not like you don't have to add it up. It's doing it for you. It's just awesome. This other tab down here you can ignore. This is, you'll see, it's going to look familiar. This is how I calculated my drop down tab for the expenses. Is actually being pulled from there. So you have to be able to do a drop down list that's in there. You'll never need this tab. It's going to be locked, so you won't even have access to it. You shouldn't need it. So that's what that's for. So just say, you can code everything. You can keep track of all of it much more efficiently. Like I said, these top cells are not moving with you, so that you're not trying to scroll back up and see what you need to put in where. It's amazing. So it's changed my life. It's changed my views on, bookkeeping and keeping track of my business. It's super easy. Way easier than QuickBooks. There's like no thinking. You don't have to like fumble around some giant program that's like made for every business known to man that might not make sense for you in your photography studio. It's adding everything up for you. It's telling you what you need. It's awesome. So I hope you guys like it as much as I do, and I hope you like the changes I made to it. And